Few complications capture the romance of mechanical watchmaking quite like the chronograph. At its core, a chronograph is simply a stopwatch built into your timepiece, but that really undersells the sheer mechanical poetry happening on your wrist every time you hit those pushers. The chronograph story begins in 1816 with Louis Moinet's astronomical timing device, but it wasn't until 1969 that we witnessed the legendary race for the first automatic chronograph between the likes of Seiko, Zenith, and the Chrono-Matic consortium. These weren't just watches, they were timing instruments for pilots, race car drivers, and astronauts, all pushing the boundaries of human achievement. Today, chronographs remain some of the most compelling watches you can buy, and you don't need to drop 5 figures on a Daytona to experience that chronograph magic. We've scoured the market for the best chronographs under $1,000, focusing primarily on that sweet spot between $500 and $1,000, where you get genuine horological substance without the luxury markup. Before we dive in, it's worth mentioning that our wearer maintains a 6.75-inch wrist for size context throughout this guide. So without further ado, let's get into it. Citizen has been absolutely crushing it lately with their integrated bracelet sports watches, and the Zenshin Chrono is no exception. In fact, we think it's one of the most compelling quartz chronographs near the $500 price point. From the moment you see this watch, 2 things hit you immediately: that stunning textured Tiffany blue dial and the chunky, angular case that's giving some serious AP Royal Oak vibes. Now yes, we know it's not in the same league or price point, but the angular geometry and integrated bracelet design definitely channels some Genta-esque DNA that's hard to ignore. The dial texture looks like rough snow with a metallic sheen that's really mesmerizing in person. Photos simply don't do it justice. At 42.5 millimeters across, this is a substantial chronograph, but Citizen's super titanium construction and 44 millimeter lug-to-lug keep it surprisingly wearable. The 11.8mm case sits comfortably thanks to the short lugs and aggressive bracelet integration. The beveled and polished edges provide sharp contrast against the brushed surfaces, and that stepped chronograph pusher design adds some nice visual interest to the mix. With 100 meters of water resistance and a sapphire crystal, it's built for daily wear despite the dressier appearance. As we previously mentioned, the dial is where the Zenshin absolutely shines. That textured blue dial shifts between teal and turquoise depending on lighting, creating a dynamic viewing experience that's just beautiful. The black subdials at 3, 6, and 9 provide perfect contrast, housing a 60-minute register, running seconds, and 24-hour indicator respectively. Applied indices and a clean handset keep things legible, while the outer tachymeter adds some functional appeal. Under the hood, Citizen's EcoDrive B620 quartz chronograph does exactly what you'd expect: accurate timekeeping with 1/5 of a second precision and solar charging that eliminates battery worries. The pushers have a light, smooth action that feels more refined than many quartz chronos in this range. The single-link integrated bracelet is a bit polarizing, but it's also undeniably well executed, especially at this price point. It tapers aggressively and hugs the wrist beautifully, though some may find those angular links to be a bit much. The fold-over push-button clasp is simple but functional. At just over $500, the Zenshin Chrono punches well above its weight. You're getting super titanium construction, that incredible dial, and Citizen's bulletproof EcoDrive tech in a package that looks far more expensive than it actually is. Sure, it's quartz, but sometimes that's exactly what you want: grab-and-go reliability with some nice wrist presence. This is perfect for anyone wanting that integrated bracelet look without the luxury price tag. New York City-based Brew has carved out a unique niche in the micro-brand space by centering their identity around coffee culture, and the metric retro dial is their most compelling expression of that vision. Founded by industrial designer Jonathan Ferrer, this watch isn't just another coffee-themed gimmick. It's a thoughtful chronograph that happens to be perfect for timing espresso shots. At first glance, the metric looks like nothing else in the sub-$500 chronograph space, and the 36mm square case might sound a bit small on paper, but it wears much larger thanks to its corner-to-corner dimension, hitting closer to around 40mm. The asymmetrical dial layout is striking. Intentionally offsetting the subdials creates this futuristic, almost a 2001 A Space Odyssey vibe that's refreshingly different from typical chronograph symmetry. The bright teal chapter ring with that yellow golden extraction zone between 25 and 35 seconds immediately signals this watch's coffee DNA. The cushion-shaped case measures 36mm with a 41.5mm lug-to-lug and just 10.75mm thick. Impressively slim for any chronograph, let alone one with an integrated bracelet. The finishing is exceptional for this price point, with brushed surfaces contrasted by polished bevels on every edge. The thin, TV-shaped mirrored bezel frames the dial beautifully and adds just enough flash without being gaudy. At 50 meters of water resistance, it's not a dive watch, but it'll handle daily wear just fine. The dial is where Brew's design chops really shine. Underneath the sapphire crystal, the matte black base allows all of the colorful elements to pop. Mirror-polished indices, recessed and textured silver subdials, and those vibrant orange accents on the 60-minute counter. The coffee connection is subtle but functional. For the uninitiated, that yellow extraction window actually works for timing shots. And if you look closely, you'll see the embossed coffee bean logo at 3 o'clock instead of text branding. Even the date at 4:30, while slightly off axis due to movement constraints, uses a black wheel that blends seamlessly. Powering the metric is a Seiko VK68 Mecha Quartz, meaning you get quartz reliability and thinness, but the mechanical chronograph module delivers that satisfying pusher feel and instant snapback reset that makes timing anything really enjoyable. The chronograph seconds sweep smoothly at 1/5 second intervals, and the movement automatically stops after an hour to preserve battery life. The integrated bracelet is beautifully executed with an aggressive taper from 26mm down to 16mm. 3-link construction keeps things comfortable, though it can pinch the occasional hair. The quick release tabs make strapping swaps tool-free, though it's worth noting that the actual lug width measures 19.85mm, just under 20mm. At just under $500, the metric retro dial offers something incredibly unique in the affordable chronograph space. Yes, other micro brands use the same VK68 movement for less money, but you'd be hard-pressed to find something so well designed and that still feels so fun to wear. It's proof that great design and thoughtful execution can matter more than pure specs. It's a watch that makes you smile every time you look at it. Founded in 2011 by industrial designer and total motorhead Bradley Price, Autodromo captures the spirit of vintage motorsports in modern, wearable products. And being the gearheads that we are, it's long been one of our favorite micro brands. The prototipo chronograph is their love letter to the colorful, dangerous prototype era of racing from the late 60s and early 70s. Think of it as the horological equivalent of a classic Porsche 917. The prototipo immediately transports you to the golden age of motorsports with its cushion case and vibrant racing livery. Available in 4 different colorways, the silver dial with black registers and orange accents perfectly captures that vintage racing aesthetic without feeling like a prop watch. And the 42mm tonneau case wears surprisingly modern despite its retro inspiration. Speaking more about the size here, at 42mm wide by 48mm tall, the prototipo's integrated lug design makes it wear smaller than the specs would suggest. The 11.5mm thickness is impressively slim for any chronograph, made possible by the Mecha Quartz movement inside. The brushed surfaces with polished edges create beautiful contrast, while details like the hex-style crown and black chronograph pushers add motorsports flair. With 50 meters of water resistance and a sapphire crystal, it really feels like it's built for daily wear. The dial has serious 3-dimensional depth, recessed subdials with circular graining, raised luminous hour markers, and a floating tachymeter pulsometer scale that sits under the crystal. The screws at 3 and 9 o'clock replace traditional markers, adding some mechanical interest to the mix. Our only critique here? The hour and minute hands are identical in shape and very similar in length, occasionally requiring a double take to differentiate them. Under the hood is the Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement. Unlike typical quartz chronographs, this hybrid uses mechanical components for the chronograph functions. The center second sweeps like a mechanical watch 5 times per second, and most importantly resets instantly with that satisfying mechanical snap rather than slowly crawling back to zero. It's a perfect compromise between mechanical feel while still having quartz reliability. The perforated leather racing strap feels right at home here, perfectly complementing the vintage motorsport theme. It's supple, comfortable, and features that classic rally-style perforation pattern. The 20mm lug width means plenty of aftermarket options if you do decide you want to switch things up a bit. At just under $600, the prototipo represents exceptional value in the vintage-inspired chronograph space. You're getting genuine design sophistication, excellent finishing, the Mecha Quartz experience, and some nice motorsports inspiration. Sure, a genuine vintage Heuer Octavia would be an excellent choice, but at over 10 times the price, the prototipo delivers 90% of the charm for just a fraction of the cost. It feels perfect for anyone who loves classic racing and still wants modern reliability. Seiko's channeling some serious Paul Newman Daytona energy with the Prospex SSC 813, and honestly, they've nailed it across the board. This Panda Dial beauty resurrects the legendary Speedtimer name from Seiko's historic 6139 chronographs, which was the world's first automatic chronograph with both column wheel and vertical clutch that even made it to space on the Skylab 4 mission. At first glance, the SSC 813 immediately catches your eye with that classic Panda Dial layout. The milky white dial contrasts beautifully with matte black subdials that seem to absorb light, while faux Tina-filled sword hands add just enough vintage warmth. The black PVD tachymeter bezel and date at 4:30 complete the racing chronograph aesthetic. This feels like a proper homage to the golden age of motorsports chronographs. At 39mm diameter and 45.5mm lug-to-lug, the proportions are spot on for modern vintage appeal. The 13.3mm thickness does sound a bit chunky for quartz, but the case design does hide it well, with a flat case back, and the curved sapphire crystal does account for some of that height. We will say, the brushed stainless steel case feels substantial on the wrist. It doesn't feel lightweight or tinny like some other quartz watches out there. Pump pushers and an oversized crown are perfectly proportioned, giving it proper tool watch credibility. On the dial, the 3-register layout uses a similar subdial at 6 o'clock for visual balance, housing both the 60-minute chronograph counter and power reserve indicator. Applied bar indices and generous LumiBrite on the hands and markers ensure excellent legibility. An arrow-tipped chronograph hand is a nice period-correct touch. The V192 solar quartz movement is the secret weapon here. Instead of a traditional battery, it uses a manganese titanium lithium capacitor that charges from any light source. Accuracy is plus or minus 15 seconds per month, and when fully charged, it'll run for 6 months in complete darkness. And the 60-minute subdial doubles as a power reserve indicator. Just hit that reset twice after timing something to check your juice level. The stainless steel bracelet tapers nicely from 20mm down to 16 and feels exceptionally well made. Brushed top and bottom surfaces with polished side links create nice contrast. The double push-button clasp operates well, though it only has one set of micro adjustment holes rather than the on-the-fly adjustability we'd prefer. Wrapping up our thoughts here, the SSC813 delivers classic chronograph looks with bulletproof solar reliability. Yes, it is a bit pricey for quartz, but mechanical chronographs start around $1,000, and solar power can be quite the game changer for your daily driver. For anyone who wants Daytona vibes without the Daytona price or the hassle of winding and setting a mechanical movement every few days, the Seiko's tough to beat here. Okay, so everyone knows the Speedmaster, but this is the other watch that made it to the moon. When Dave Scott's Omega crystal cracked during Apollo 15 in 1971, he strapped on his personal Bulova prototype. As the story goes, that was later sold for $1.6 million at auction, but this modern reissue captures the same spacebound DNA for just a few less zeros. The Lunar pilot is unmistakably space age, with its deep black dial and chunky 43.5mm case architecture. It's got that retro-futuristic NASA aesthetic down pat. The 6-hand configuration and structured dial texture evoke the lunar surface, while the stark white tachymeter ring and retro Bulova logo complete the period-correct look. This is a watch that looks like it could survive lunar exploration. At 43.5mm with a 51mm lug-to-lug and 13.2mm thick, this is a substantial chronograph that wears surprisingly well thanks to clever case architecture. The cylindrical bezel and tall box sapphire crystal create visual interest, while the fluidity between case and bracelet helps it sit really comfortably on the wrist. The crown at 3 o'clock features Bulova's tuning fork logo, while the slim chronograph pushers provide satisfying tactile feedback. Water resistance is 50 meters. After all, who's swimming in space? The deep black dial extends to the case extremities, making excellent use of that 43.5mm real estate. Multiple layers create some serious depth, from the outermost tachymeter down through the grooved 1/5 second scale to the raised main dial with loomed rectangular indices. The 3 subdials at 3, 6, and 9 house a 1/20th second counter, running seconds, and 60-minute totalizer respectively. Hand lengths are spot on here, reaching their corresponding tracks perfectly. The star attraction here is Bulova's proprietary 262 kHz high-performance quartz movement. It's 8 times faster than standard quartz. This ultra-high frequency delivers some incredible accuracy of plus or minus 10 seconds per year. The seconds hand moves with an almost automatic-like sweep, beating twice per second instead of the typical quartz tick. The included 3-link stainless steel bracelet is hefty and well executed with a butterfly deployant clasp. It's also equipped with a quick release system for tool-free swaps. There's no denying the value proposition here. The Lunar pilot offers genuine space history and unmatched quartz precision. Sure, it's on the chunkier side, but so was the original that walked on the moon. You're getting a piece of NASA heritage, cutting-edge accuracy, and that unmistakable space-age cool factor. Christopher Ward has built a reputation for delivering Swiss quality at accessible prices, and the C63 Valour proves they haven't forgotten their value-focused roots. This military-inspired chronograph pays tribute to all 3 branches of His Majesty's Armed Forces while packing serious horological firepower in the form of a COSC-certified quartz movement. The C63 Valour immediately catches your eye with its reverse panda dial and those chunky applied Arabic numerals, clearly inspired by 1980s British military chronographs. The 3 white subdials dominate the black dial. each featuring colored hands representing different military branches: red for the Army, dark blue for the Navy, and light blue for the Royal Air Force. The applied twin flag logo and polished numerals create some nice depth against the matte black background. At 39mm diameter, 45.8mm lug-to-lug, and just 11.5mm thick, the proportions are again spot on for modern vintage appeal. Christopher Ward's signature light catcher case design uses alternating brushed and polished surfaces that really do catch light beautifully in person. If you haven't seen one of these yet, they're worth checking out. The mix of finishing here, polish, brush, from bottom to top, creates visual interest without being too overwhelming. Water resistance is 150 meters with a screw-down crown, making this more capable than many other dress chronographs. Underneath the sapphire crystal is where the military DNA really shines. Those massive applied Arabic numerals ensure legibility in any conditions, though they can disappear depending on the viewing angle due to their high polish. The 3 subdials house 1/10 seconds, running seconds, and 30-minute counters respectively. The colored hands add just enough visual interest to prevent the reverse panda scheme from looking too drab, though some might find those subdials a bit too dominant on the 39mm canvas. Under the hood is the thermo-compensated ETA G10.212AD COSC, a quartz chronograph movement that's accurate to within plus or minus 10 seconds per year. That's well inside the COSC chronometer spec for quartz, which requires plus or minus 25. The pushers are satisfyingly snappy with split time capability, and the battery life clocks in at around 3 years. The 3-link Bader bracelet features alternating brushed and polished surfaces that complement the case beautifully. Links are held together with screws rather than pins, and quick-release spring bars make strap swaps effortless. There's also toolless micro-adjustments on the clasp for easy sizing on the go. Rounding out our thoughts here, the C63 Valour delivers Swiss COSC chronometer certification, military-inspired design, and Christopher Ward's excellent build quality. Yes, legibility can be hit or miss with those polished numerals, and the subdials do dominate the dial space a bit, but you're still getting genuine Swiss precision at a price that's really hard to beat. New York City-based microbrand Laurier has quietly built a reputation for delivering vintage-inspired watches that punch well above their price point, and the Olympia marks a significant evolution for the brand, replacing the beloved hand-wound Gemini with their first automatic chronograph. At just under $900, this is their priciest offering yet, but it's also their most ambitious, packing a true mechanical chronograph movement in the classic Speedmaster-inspired proportions that would make Paul Newman proud. At first glance, the Olympia immediately evokes vintage racing chronograph DNA with its classic Panda dial and Tri-Compact's 369 layout. The white dial has a subtle silvery sheen that plays beautifully with ambient light, while the black subdials feature concentric circular patterns that suggest a perpetual motion in person. Light blue and red racing accents throughout add just enough color to bring the design alive without overwhelming the clean aesthetic. With a case size of 39mm with a 46mm lug-to-lug, the proportions here are once again spot on for vintage authenticity. They're nearly identical to the original Rolex Daytonas. The 13.8mm thickness breaks down to 11.7mm case, plus 2.1mm domed Hesselite crystal. The thick, polished bezel does stand out visually, but it wears better than photos would suggest. Water resistance is 50 meters with a screw-down crown, and the case finishing matches other micro brands in this price range. As far as the dial is concerned, this is classic chronograph done right. The Panda scheme provides excellent contrast, while applied, polished indices catch light beautifully against a silvery white base. The 3 subdials house running seconds at 9, elapsed minutes at 3, and hours at 6. That red triangle at 12 o'clock and the blue and red chronograph hands add some nice period-correct racing flair. The fixed black tachymeter bezel completes a vintage sports chronograph aesthetic. Under the hood is Seiko's TMI's NE88 automatic chronograph, a rare Tri-Compact's column wheel and vertical clutch caliber, beating at 28,800 bph with a 45-hour power reserve. You'll find the same engine in Seiko's $3,000 plus Speedtimer chronographs, yet here in the Olympia, it lands well below $1,000, making it an incredible value proposition. Pushers are crisp and satisfying, delivering a tactile experience that rivals much more expensive chronos. The 3-link stainless steel bracelet tapers from 20mm to 16 and features Laurier's signature single-sided screws for easy sizing. The solid end links and push-button clasp with 3 micro adjustments provide secure, comfortable wear. At this price point, the Olympia delivers genuine automatic chronograph DNA at an almost unbeatable price. You're getting column wheel, vertical clutch sophistication that typically costs twice as much, wrapped in timelessly handsome vintage racing aesthetics. Yes, it is Laurier's most expensive watch, yet it's also their most accomplished. proving they've grown from promising micro-brand to serious player. Frédérique proves that Swiss sophistication doesn't require breaking the bank with their classics triple calendar chronograph. This Geneva-based manufacturer has quietly become one of the industry's most compelling value props, and this feature-packed quartz chronograph showcases exactly why they should be on your radar. The FC immediately impresses with its clean, classical design and impressive complication density. The silver-white sunrail dial hosts an impressive array of functions: chronograph, triple calendar, which includes day, date, and month, and running seconds, all laid out with Swiss precision. Applied silver indices and black pearl finished hands create excellent contrast, while that distinctive red tip date pointer adds a subtle pop of color around the outer date scale. At 40mm diameter with a 46mm lug-to-lug and just 10.56mm thick, the proportions are perfect for dress watch versatility. The polished stainless steel 3-part case feels substantial without being too bulky on the wrist, while the convex sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating ensures excellent legibility. Water resistance is minimal at 30 meters, but this is clearly designed as a dress chronograph rather than a sports tool. The dial color feels like a vintage, off-white in person, while the 3 matching white subdials with textured concentric circular patterns create perfect contrast. The chronograph registers at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock house running seconds, 1/10 second counter, and 30-minute totalizer respectively. Day and month windows sit elegantly at 12 o'clock, while the outer date scale with red-tipped pointer provides quick date reading. As far as dials are concerned, it's definitely a bit on the busier side, but it never really feels cluttered when you're wearing it. The Swiss FC296 quartz movement delivers solid accuracy at plus or minus 15 seconds per month with an exceptional 54-month battery life. The chronograph functions are operated via textured pushers at 2 and 4 o'clock that provide satisfying tactile feedback. While setting the calendar requires a special tool, which is included, the intuitive layout makes adjustments straightforward once you understand the system. Top left adjusts the day, bottom left adjusts the date, and the top right adjusts the month. The black calf leather strap with matching stitching feels premium and complements the dress watch aesthetic perfectly. The stainless steel buckle provides secure closure, though a deployant clasp would help elevate the package a bit. Technically, just over our $1,000 price threshold, the FC triple calendar chronograph delivers Swiss manufacturing, multiple complications, and classical elegance at a price that's really tough to beat. Yes, it's still quartz, but the 54-month battery life and precision make it incredibly practical for daily wear. This timepiece represents exactly what FC does best: accessible luxury that doesn't compromise on quality or sophistication. It's a great choice for anyone wanting Swiss chronograph prestige without the premium price point. And there you have it, a look at some of the best affordable chronographs under $1,000. Each offering incredible timing capability, quality craftsmanship, and that essential tool watch functionality at a price point that won't break the bank. These timepieces may not carry the prestige of a Speedmaster or a Daytona, but they certainly deliver on the core chronograph promise: precise timing with the mechanical satisfaction and wrist presence that make chronographs so addictive. As we always say, this is just a small cross-section of our favorites in the affordable chronograph watch space. Let us know which watch caught your eye, and if there are any affordable chronographs we missed that deserve consideration in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more watch guides and deep dives. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in next week's video.